Hello, hello, and welcome back to Daily English Dialogue. You are listening to the place where we bridge the gap between textbook English and the real, messy, beautiful way people actually speak. I'm Anna.
And I'm Mark. It is fantastic to be back in the studio with you, Anna. Today, we are tackling a topic that is, quite frankly, a bit controversial. It's the holy grail of language learning.
It really is. If you go on YouTube or look at language blogs, you see this title everywhere. How to Speak English Fluently in 30 Days. Now, Mark, be honest with me. When you see that title, what is your immediate reaction? Do you click on it or do you roll your eyes?
Oh, I'm definitely a skeptic. My cynical side comes out. I usually think, here comes the snake oil salesman promising me a miracle. We all know that language learning is a marathon, not a sprint. However, and this is a big however, I do believe you can make a transformative shift in 30 days if you are strategic about it.
Exactly. That's what we want to dissect today. We aren't promising that you will go from zero to Shakespeare in a month. That's unrealistic. But can you go from stuttering and nervous to confident and flowing? I think you can. So we have broken this down into a 4-week roadmap, a boot camp, if you will.
I love a good boot camp. Let's dive right in. But first, we need to define our terms. Anna, for the purpose of this 30-day challenge, how are we defining fluency? Because for many learners, fluency means perfection, and that is a paralyzing mindset.
Great point. In this context, fluency does not mean knowing every word in the dictionary. It means flow. It means the ability to express your thoughts without those long, painful pauses where you're searching for a word. It's about minimizing the translation lag in your brain.
Right. It's about comfort and connection, not accuracy. You can be fluent and still make grammar mistakes. So listeners, for the next 30 days, I want you to abandon your obsession with perfection. We are chasing flow. Shall we look at week 1? Let's dive deep into week 1. We are calling this the immersion protocol, or if you want to sound more intense, input overload.
Input overload. It sounds like a computer crashing. But seriously, this week is foundational. If you skip this, the other weeks won't work. The goal here is to completely saturate your brain with English. But Mark, I want to clarify something immediately. Does this mean I can just put English radio on while I sleep?
Haha, the old learn while you sleep myth. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but no, that doesn't work. Your brain needs to be awake to form new neural pathways. When we say immersion, we don't just mean background noise. We distinguish between passive listening and active listening.
Right. Let's break those down because you need both during week 1.
Passive listening is what you do when your hands are busy, but your brain is free. This is when you are washing dishes, driving to work, or walking the dog. You have a podcast or the news playing. You aren't analyzing every word, you're just letting the rhythm and cadence of the language wash over you.
Exactly. This helps your subconscious get used to the music of English, where the stress falls, how the intonation goes up and down. It's about comfort. But for this 30-day challenge, passive listening isn't enough. You need the heavy lifter, active listening.
This is the hard work. Active listening means you are sitting down, doing nothing else. You have headphones on, maybe a notebook in front of you, and you are giving the audio 100% of your mental bandwidth.
And for our upper intermediate listeners, the choice of content here is critical. If you listen to something too easy, you get bored. If you listen to a lecture on quantum physics in English, you'll get frustrated and quit.
We call this the Goldilocks zone, or in linguistics, comprehensible input. You want material where you understand about 70 to 80% of what is being said. That remaining 20% is where the learning happens. You can guess the meaning from the context.
So, for week 1, here's your schedule. You need to find dead time in your day. Mark, how much time do you think the average person wastes looking at their phone or staring out a window?
Oh, easily an hour or two.
Exactly. During week 1, you must reclaim that time. Your commute is now English time. Your gym session is English time. Cooking dinner is English time. You need to rack up at least 2 hours of listening per day.
2 hours sounds like a lot, but if you break it up, 30 minutes in the car, 30 minutes at the gym, 30 minutes cooking, and 30 minutes before bed, it's manageable. Now, Anna, let's talk about the specific technique for the active listening portion. We mentioned shadowing earlier. Can you explain exactly how to do it step by step?
I would love to. Shadowing is the closest thing to a magic pill we have. It was developed by polyglots, people who speak many languages. Here's the protocol. 1. Select a short audio clip, maybe 2 or 3 minutes long. It should be a single speaker with a transcript available. 2. Listen once just to understand the meaning. 3. Listen again and read the transcript simultaneously to check any words you missed. The shadowing step. You play the audio and you repeat what the speaker says as they are saying it.
That's the tricky part, simultaneity. You aren't waiting for them to finish the sentence. You are trailing behind them by about half a second. You are literally a shadow following their footsteps.
Yes, it feels chaotic at first. You'll stumble, you'll mumble, but what you're doing is forcing your mouth to move at the speed of a native speaker. You're not giving your brain time to translate into your native language. You have to speak in English to keep up.
And here's a pro tip for shadowing. Mimic the emotion. If the speaker sounds angry, you sound angry. If they sound excited, you sound excited.
Why is that important?
Because English is a stress-timed language. The meaning often changes based on how we say something, not just what we say. If you mimic the emotion, you naturally hit the correct pitch and stress patterns. You stop sounding like a robot and start sounding like a human.
That is so true. I also want to suggest a technical trick for week 1. If you find native speakers talk too fast, which is the #1 complaint I hear, use technology to your advantage. On YouTube or most podcast players, you can change the playback speed.
Oh, absolutely. Slow it down to 0.75x. There's no shame in that. At 0.75, you can hear the linking sounds. You can hear how put it on becomes put it on. Once you master it at slow speed, bump it back up to 1.0x.
So, to recap week 1, fill the dead time, replace music and radio with English podcasts, passive listening. The 80-20 rule, choose content that is challenging but understandable. Active shadowing, spend 15 to 20 minutes a day actively mimicking a speaker, trailing them like a shadow.
It's going to feel exhausting. By the end of week 1, your brain might feel a bit foggy. That's actually a good sign. It means you're processing a high volume of data.
Think of it like muscle soreness after the gym. If your brain is tired, you're growing. Don't quit. Week 1 is just about survival and saturation. You're building the reservoir of sounds that you will use in week 2.
Precisely. Once you have filled the tank with listening, you're ready to start the engine and speak. Which brings us to week 2. We survived the input overload of week 1. Now we enter the territory that most students find, well, frankly, embarrassing. Week 2 is the narration phase.
Oh, I know the feeling. This is the week where you have to be okay with looking a little crazy.
Exactly. If you have roommates or a partner, you might want to warn them because week 2 is about breaking the silence by becoming the narrator of your own life.
The biggest objection we get here is, I can't practice speaking because I don't have a teacher or a native friend. Week 2 destroys that excuse. You don't need a partner to practice articulation.
Correct. You have yourself. But let's look at the science for a moment. Why does narrating your life work? It's about reducing latency.
Latency? You mean like internet lag?
Exactly like that. Right now, many of our listeners have high latency. They have a thought in their native language, their brain translates it, checks the grammar, searches for the word, and then they speak. That process takes 3 to 5 seconds. That creates those awkward silences.
So narrating is about shortening that wire. It's about connecting the thought directly to the mouth, bypassing the translation center.
Precisely. But you can't just walk around saying, I am a man, this is a pen. That's too easy for an upper intermediate learner. We need to introduce levels of narration.
I love this framework. Let's break down the levels. Level 1 is purely descriptive, right?
Right. Level 1 is for when you are just warming up. You describe physical actions. I am opening the fridge. I am taking out the milk. The milk expires tomorrow. It's simple, present continuous tense.
But for our listeners, that gets boring fast. So you need to graduate to level 2, sensory and emotional narration.
This is where it gets interesting. Don't just tell me what you are doing, tell me how it feels. Instead of, I am drinking coffee, try this. I am sipping this coffee, but honestly, it's a bit lukewarm. I should have heated the water longer. It tastes bitter.
See the difference? You just used lukewarm, should have, and bitter. You're forcing your brain to access adjectives and modals on the fly.
Exactly. You are narrating your internal state. If you are stuck in traffic, don't just say, there are many cars. Say, this traffic is excruciating. I feel my patience wearing thin. If this doesn't clear up in 10 minutes, I'm going to be late for my meeting.
That is a great workout for conditionals. If this, then that. Now, what about the most advanced stage, level 3?
Level 3 is the debater. This is for when you are alone, maybe in the shower or driving. You take a decision you need to make and you argue with yourself out loud.
Can you give us an example?
Sure, let's say you are deciding what to eat for dinner. Don't just think it, speak it. Okay, on the one hand, I really want pizza. It's comforting. But on the other hand, I ate junk food yesterday. If I eat pizza again, I'll feel lethargic tomorrow. However, I did go to the gym, so maybe I've earned it.
That is brilliant. You're using connectors. On the one hand, however, therefore, you're building complex arguments in the safety of your own car.
And the best part? No one can correct you, and that is actually a good thing in week 2.
Wait, why is that good? Shouldn't we want correction?
Not yet. In week 2, we are prioritizing flow over accuracy. If you stop every 5 seconds to worry if you said it right, you kill the flow. You need to get comfortable with the physical act of speaking English continuously for 5 minutes.
I see. It's about stamina, just like running. You don't worry about perfect form when you're just trying to build up your cardio.
Exactly. Now, Anna, what happens when our listeners hit a wall? They're narrating, they're flowing, and suddenly, boom, they don't know a word.
That is the dreaded vocabulary gap. In week 2, you have to practice the art of circumlocution.
We touched on this briefly, but let's drill it. If you don't know the word umbrella, what do? Do you stop and grab your phone?
No, that breaks the immersion. You explain it. You say, I need the thing that protects me from rain. It opens up like a canopy.
Perfect. By doing that, you keep the conversation alive. You're training your brain to be resourceful. If you can't go through the front door, the exact word, you go through the side window, the description.
I have a practical tip for week 2, the voice note diary.
Oh, this is a great one. Tell them how it works.
Instead of writing a journal at the end of the day, open WhatsApp or the voice memo app on your phone, record a 2-minute summary of your day. Send it to yourself or just save it.
Today was chaotic because...
Exactly. Then, and this is the hard part, listen to it the next morning.
Oof, listening to your own voice is painful.
It is, but you'll hear your grammar mistakes so clearly. You'll hear, oh, I said I go to the store instead of I went to the store. You become your own teacher.
So the roadmap for week 2. 1. Narrate the mundane. Start with simple actions. Level 1. 2. Add color. Describe feelings, textures, and annoyances. Level 2. 3. The shower debate. Argue with yourself using logical connectors. Level 3. 4. Circumlocute. Never stop for a missing word. Describe your way around it.
By the end of week 2, your jaw might actually feel sore. You're using muscles you're not used to using.
And you'll find that words start popping up in your head faster. You're greasing the gears. Once you're comfortable speaking to yourself, you're finally ready to add complexity, which leads us to the vocabulary focus of week 3. All right, we're halfway through the month. We've tuned our ears and we're speaking to ourselves. Week 3 is about polish. It's about sounding natural.
This is my favorite part. Week 3 is dedicated to collocations and chunks.
Explain that to the audience. What is a chunk?
Well, many students learn English word by word. They learn make and decision separately. But native speakers don't think like that. We think in chunks. We say make a decision. We don't say do a decision. That combination is a collocation.
This is why some students sound like robots even if their grammar is perfect. They're assembling sentences like Lego bricks, one by one. Fluency comes from grabbing pre-made blocks.
Right. So in week 3, your goal is to stop learning isolated vocabulary words. Stop memorizing lists of random nouns. Instead, focus on phrases. If you learn the word risk, don't just write risk equals danger. Write down take a risk, calculated risk, risk averse.
I love that. It makes speaking faster because your brain is retrieving one unit of information, the phrase, instead of 3 separate units, the individual words.
Exactly. It reduces the cognitive load. So for week 3, I want our listeners to focus on phrasal verbs and idiomatic expressions, not the obscure ones like it's raining cats and dogs. Nobody uses that anymore, but the high-frequency ones.
Like figure out, run out of, come up with.
Yes, if you can use come up with naturally instead of invent or create, you instantly sound more fluent.
So, the homework for week 3. Pick 5 chunks or phrasal verbs every morning. Your mission is to use them in your self-narration or writing during the day. Force them into context until they stick.
And finally, we arrive at week 4, the final stretch. This is the pressure test.
This is where the rubber meets the road. You can't learn to swim without getting wet. Week 4 is about real-time interaction.
It is time to find a speaking partner. And I know, this can be intimidating. It induces anxiety.
It does, but you have to embrace the vulnerability. There are so many apps now. italki, HelloTalk, Tandem, Discord servers. You don't need to fly to New York. You just need an internet connection.
The goal of week 4 is spontaneity. When you are talking to a real human, you can't pause to check a dictionary. You have to react.
Here is a tip for week 4. Record your conversations.
Oh, that's painful. Listening to yourself is so cringy.
It is excruciating. I hate listening to my own voice, but it is the fastest way to spot your errors. When you listen back, you'll hear things you didn't notice in the heat of the moment. You'll hear, oh, I keep saying she don't instead of she doesn't.
That feedback loop is vital. Also, in week 4, try to engage in debate. Pick a topic you disagree on with your partner. Arguing or debating forces you to use logical connectors. Furthermore, on the other hand, consequently, it pushes your brain to organize thoughts complexly.
That is a brilliant idea. Emotional engagement, like a debate, makes memories stick. If you are passionate about the topic, you will fight to find the words, and you will remember them forever.
So, we have the roadmap: immersion, narration, chunks, and interaction. But Mark, we need to address the elephant in the room. What happens when students feel stuck, that dreaded intermediate plateau?
The plateau is real. It's that feeling where you're working hard, but you don't feel like you're improving. It usually happens right at the upper intermediate level.
It's actually a good sign. It means you aren't a beginner anymore. You know enough to survive, so your brain stops panicking and absorbing everything.
To break the plateau during these 30 days, you need novelty. You need to shock your system. If you always listen to news, switch to comedy. Comedy is the hardest thing to understand because of cultural nuance. If you always read nonfiction, try reading a thriller novel.
Or change the accent. If you're used to American English, like ours, spend a week listening strictly to Australian or Scottish podcasts. It forces your brain to recalibrate.
Before we wrap up, Anna, I want to touch on confidence. I think 50% of fluency is just confidence. It's the audacity to speak, even when you know you might be wrong.
Absolutely. We call it the imposter syndrome in language learning. You feel like a fake. You think everyone is judging your accent.
Here is a secret, listeners. Native speakers do not care about your grammar as much as you do.
We care about clarity. If I understand you, you're successful. We're usually impressed that you speak a second language at all.
So adopt a fake it till you make it attitude. Speak louder, don't mumble. When you mumble, you signal to the listener that you're unsure, and that makes them strain to understand you. If you speak a wrong sentence with confidence, the conversation usually just flows on.
And smile. It sounds physiological, but smiling changes the tone of your voice and makes you seem more open. It relaxes your jaw.
We have a bit of time left. Let's tackle a few common questions we get sent to the Daily English Dialogues inbox regarding intensive learning.
Hit me.
Question 1. Is it better to study for 3 hours once a week or 20 minutes every day?
Oh, 20 minutes every day. Hands down, no contest.
Why?
Because of the forgetting curve. If you wait a week between study sessions, you spend the first hour just relearning what you forgot. Frequency beats intensity. This 30-day challenge requires daily contact with the language. Consistency is the compound interest of learning.
Agreed. Question 2. My pronunciation is bad. Should I fix that before I try to speak fluently?
That's a chicken and the egg situation. What do you think, Anna?
I think you should work on them simultaneously, but prioritize intelligibility over a perfect accent. You don't need to sound American or British, you just need to be understood. However, if your pronunciation is so unclear that people constantly say, "what?" or "sorry," then you need to pause and do some phonetics work.
I agree. Don't let the pursuit of a perfect accent stop you from speaking, but do pay attention to word stress. In English, stressing the wrong syllable can change the meaning or make the word unrecognizable.
For example,
Take the word photograph versus photography. Photograph, stress on the first syllable. Photography, stress on the second. If you say photography, I might not understand you.
excellent example. So focus on stress and rhythm more than individual sounds.
Wow, we have covered a lot of ground today. Let's do a quick recap of the 30-day fluency roadmap for our listeners.
Sure. Week 1, immersion, shadowing exercises. Fill your ears with English. Week 2, narration. Talk to yourself. Describe your world and your feelings. Week 3, chunks. Learn collocations and phrasal verbs to glue your sentences together. Week 4, interaction. Find a partner, record yourself, and get out of your comfort zone.
And the underlying rule for all 30 days is do not translate. Try to think in images and concepts, linking them directly to English words.
It is going to be tiring. Your brain will physically hurt sometimes. That is normal. That is the feeling of growth.
Think of it like going to the gym. If your muscles aren't sore, you didn't work out hard enough. If your brain isn't tired after a study session, you were probably being too passive.
So, listeners, here is our challenge to you. Start today, not next Monday, today. Pick a podcast, maybe this one, listen to it again, and shadow us. Narrate your commute to work.
And let us know how it goes. Drop a comment on the YouTube channel. Tell us, I'm starting day 1. We want to see that community support.
We'll be checking the comments and replying. We are in this with you.
Thanks for tuning in to Daily English Dialogue. Remember, fluency is not a destination where you arrive and stop. It's a journey, but you can cover a lot of miles in 30 days.
Absolutely. Keep talking, keep listening, and keep curious. We'll see you in the next episode.
Bye, everyone.